Greetings. This is Justin Allen with the Elite Nurse Practitioner. Welcome to the Elite Nurse Practitioner Show, podcast dedicated to nurse practitioner entrepreneurism and achieving financial freedom, where I talk directly with nurse practitioners who need help. Listen up, our market is saturated. Jobs can be scarce. We are underpaid. We are undervalued. We are taken advantage of by the sharks within the healthcare system, and frankly, screw that. Sick of it, and it's time for a change. And listen, I'm here to help make that happen. We are powerful. We can forge a path where we are in control of our career and ultimately our financial and personal well-being. You do not need to submit to healthcare administrators and your doctor overlords. You do not have to take a measly salary. You do not have to work 50 to 60 hours a week. There is a different way, and I'm here to show you that path. This podcast is raw and unfiltered. I have not talked to the nurse practitioners in this podcast prior to the call outside of an email exchange to schedule the episode. What you're about to listen to is a consultation session between a nurse practitioner and myself. It is real, it is unscripted, it is unplanned, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Anything and everything can happen during our conversation. The nurse practitioners in these episodes are struggling with an issue in their professional or financial life, and they have reached out to me for help. My goal is to help the nurse practitioner with actionable advice that will enhance and improve their professional, business, and financial life. My other goal is to hopefully help my nurse practitioner sisters and brothers build a more productive, powerful, and free life. So I hope the content and information within these podcast episodes does just that. All right, onto the episode. Hello, everyone. Today we will be talking to Erin, who is a family nurse practitioner practicing out of Oklahoma. Currently, she is 100% self-employed and owns her own anti-aging clinic where she specializes in women's hormone replacement therapy, aesthetics, and peptides. She started this practice 3 years ago, and it has turned into a very successful business. She is needing assistance on staying motivated to keep growing her business, how to scale this so it can turn into more of a passive income stream, and how to develop relationships with other successful individuals. Hey, Erin, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate you hopping on this call. So yeah, let's jump into this. So I know that you got a pretty successful business. So just walk me through, what happened, how long you've been a nurse practitioner for, and what kind of motivated you to get this business started, and how did you, go from zero to being successful?
So I started out as an esthetician 20 years ago. It's actually my 20th year being an esthetician in skincare, working at a medical spa. And then I went into nursing about 7 or 8 years after that. So I could do more, Botox and filler and laser and all those fun things. But the more I got into that aspect, there was so much more that was happening to the patient's skin. Like, we're going to do filler, but they have bone deterioration, and that's because they have premature aging and hormone loss. And, we're going to treat a patient for acne, but they need prescription. So that's when I went on and did my family nurse practitioner and then later my doctorate. It all kind of works together, but I feel like it's interesting that I have a little bit different background starting out as an esthetician and then going into nursing, because I know there are a ton of nurses out there that go from nursing and then into the aesthetics world. So it's interesting to see that difference. So I have the really firm grasp on aesthetics that I've been doing for 20 years. And then most recently, the past like 7 or 8 years, I've had my nurse practitioner and then added in more of the women's health and peptides and just total anti-aging aspect into the practice.
Okay. So did you go straight into aesthetics as a nurse practitioner, or did you work somewhere else for a while, or
Pretty much. I did internal medicine for 2 years. Well, as soon as I finished my RN, I immediately opened my skincare clinic so I could do chemical peels, Botox filler. And then I applied for my nurse practitioner as soon as I was able to. I was one of the first, I think I was the first person in my class to actually do nurse practitioner school. But it was interesting because I knew that I was going to go right back into aesthetics, but I met this amazing physician that was into functional medicine, and he introduced me into hormone therapy. And I spent 2 years at his practice with internal medicine before he actually unfortunately passed away. And then I went out on my own and opened my own practice.
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you kind of got your feet wet somewhere else, and then
Yeah.
I guess mustered up the courage and probably the confidence and everything just to venture out on your own and do it.
Yes.
Yeah. But you were a business owner before, so you weren't naive to it.
Right. Yes.
Right.
It's definitely not as in depth as what I'm doing now, but it's, having that, I feel like I've been in business. I've had my own LLC for 20 years now.
Right.
kind of the
Right.
same one that's just kind of grown.
Sure. So I mean, you came in here with an advantage compared to a brand new entrepreneur for sure. No question about it. Yeah. So I guess when you started your aesthetics practice, did you integrate hormone replacement therapy and all that stuff into it right from the get go?
There
Yeah.
were several patients when I left that internal medicine practice. There were several patients because that physician had passed away. Several patients followed me. So it was, it was nice to kind of have that foot in the door that there were already built in patients. But it was hard. How do for me, the hardest part was how do we incorporate, okay, I have these functional medicine and these wellness patients that, do take up a significant amount of time, as opposed to I could see a Botox patient in 15 minutes. And how are we charging for this time and making a separation with that. So we kind of built memberships around that where I have wellness members and then aesthetic members. And they do kind of cross over now and then, but sometimes it's a little bit hard to manage both.
So is that why you kind of call it an anti-aging clinic? Because you're doing a lot of things that prevent aging and help people look better?
Yes.
Gotcha. That
Yes.
makes sense. Yeah.
Making them
Yeah.
look and feel their best, essentially.
Right.
From all
Right. Right.
aspects.
Okay. Yeah. So you started this 3 years ago. So can you maybe walk me through start to finish? I'm not asking you for like, every single detail on how you started business, but just maybe like, how much money did it cost you to get this started? And then what did the income look like and like your patient volume over the last 3 years?
Yeah, it's really interesting. When I first started my just skincare practice 10 years ago, I had like, $2,000 or $3,000 and I rented this room for $500 and that was it. Put like maybe $3,000 on a credit card and paid it all off at the end. And then when I started this practice 3 years ago, I had, I really tried to follow the philosophy of not spending any money. And there, I think that I went to a conference and they were talking about opening up your own practice for $500 or something very, you don't have to spend all this money. So I knew that I needed some equipment to do the skincare and not very much for the wellness side, but I spent about $35,000. And then I ended up getting an additional loan for, I think, $22,000 is what I started with to
Okay.
my current location. And we did a little over 200,000 that first year.
So, I mean, it was a pretty decent investment. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Was most of that money just spent on like the build out and getting supplies and any kind of like machines you had to buy or anything like that?
Yes, it was all on our building was pretty much built out, but furniture felt like it was very expensive. The aesthetic chairs are very expensive. So I think most of the money went to furniture and, EMR and things like that.
Okay.
Just having enough, when you do like a retail order for skincare products, sunscreen and vitamin C, it's going to be like 5,000 to 7,000.
Gotcha. So you basically turned a $50,000 investment into $200,000 the first year.
Yes.
Right.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's pretty good return on investment. You know what I mean? It's really hard to get those kind of returns anywhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could put that the money in the stock market, we'd all be millionaires, right? So did you pay that debt off or
Not
are you
yet.
still paying that off?
We're just
No, okay.
starting our payments to that original 35,000 actually this month.
Okay.
So,
As your
yeah.
goal, just pay that thing off just as quick as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't blame you. So your first year was 200,000 and then year to year, I'm assuming, are you following kind of the standard income progression of one of these practices, kind of doubling essentially every year?
So
Give or
we're
take a little?
following, yeah. So we're doing about 40% increase each year. So our second year, I think
Nice.
we did like 370. Last year we did like five something. This year we're set to make 750, and then
Perfect.
hopefully year 5 will be $1 million clinic. So it
Yep.
should be 40% increase is kind of what we've done, what we've kind of researched industry average. COVID
Yeah.
was obviously hard because we were closed for 2 months. I think that was hard on everybody, but
Yeah, it's really interesting. That's like the typical progression with like most businesses, as long as you're focusing on, trying to grow it, reinvesting money back into it and those sorts
yeah.
of things. Like that's typically what it is. Like, let's just say like $200,000 the first year, the second year will be 350, 400. The year after that will be 500 to 600. And then,
Yeah.
it almost it doesn't necessarily double, but it can be close. Like you said, 40, 50%. And so,
Yeah.
you're on a total trajectory to have $1 million practice within a year or
Yeah.
two. There's no question about it.
I'm
So
excited. So we're
yeah,
up to 5 employees now. Started
yeah,
out with just me by myself. So it's like we're adding a new employee almost every year.
good for
So
you. What
yeah.
kind of employees are you? What kind of employees do you have?
So we have a guest relations, which is our front desk person that helps out with almost everything. My husband actually runs the office as far as like payroll and everything that I want to do from business side, the social media and all of that. He has his master's in healthcare administration. And then we have 2 nurse injectors and then an esthetician.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So you already have a few little passive streams here with, some of those people doing that for you. So essentially you reached out to me to kind of chit chat about this, and it sounds like you might be having some good problems ahead of you.
Yes. Yes, good problems. Definitely can't complain. It's always just nice to get feedback from somebody else. I think when you work by yourself, you have all these thoughts and you're like, is this right? Is this right? Should I do it this way? It's
Right.
always good to just have feedback from other professionals kind of in your industry.
Well, don't you think though that like kind of going through it you're on your own though helped you, be who you are now today though in terms of developing the courage and the processes in your mind and those sorts of items?
Yes. And the 2 years that I spent in internal medicine, and when I worked for other people in the past, you kind of see this is how I don't want to run things, and
Right.
you really learn a lot. Like, I don't know that I could ever go work for somebody else again at this
Oh,
point, being by myself for so long. And my parents own their own business, and so that's kind of what I grew up with, was this is what you do, you know.
right. Being able to do whatever the
Um,
hell you want whenever you want.
yeah,
You're
yeah, it
right.
is nice being able to, like, go on vacation and you do all this stuff. My husband was actually offered a job, and I was just like, "Well, I don't think so."
Right. Asking
Because
for
then we'd have to ask
PTO
for,
and
like, vacation days,
right.
and,
Yeah.
like, "I'll have to
Yeah.
pay you more to
Right,
stay
right,
here."
right. Yeah, I mean, you feel trapped working for someone else, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I could never do it again either. So before we hopped on this call, you kind of told me a few things that you want to talk about. So I guess you're having some issues staying motivated to, I guess, to grow your business, to keep pushing forward. Are you experiencing some contentment issues?
I don't know that I would say contentment. It's like, I love what I do, but it's more of the organization of, there are a million things that have to get done, and then I feel like, when do I do them all? So how do you stay organized when you have to do this podcast, and you have to see these patients, and you have to do this? And I think it's more the organization on, when do I do things, and why do I do things, and how do I schedule them out so it's most productive?
Gotcha. So staying motivated to be organized and getting the stuff done that needs to be done.
Yeah, and
Right.
prioritizing specific things and delegating other things. And
Because right now, I mean, I'm assuming your clinic it's kind of working on its own at this point, right?
yes.
So you have two options right now, essentially. I mean, if you continue doing what you're doing and you don't really put a whole lot more effort into it, I would say that within a year or two, you'll probably cap out about $1 million a year in revenue. And you could probably just stay there, be
Yeah,
content, do your thing, work 20 hours a week, whatever it is, live a good life, right?
right.
You can stay motivated, get organized, develop these systems and processes, do what has to be done. So this turns into a 2 or 3 or $4 million business.
Correct.
Those are the two paths that you have. These two paths happen for business owners. And it doesn't really matter what it is, a nurse practitioner, niche practice, primary care practice, or a clothing store, okay, or a landscaping business. It doesn't really matter. Eventually, you're going to hit a plateau. And once you hit that plateau, the only way you're getting over it is by developing processes, and you have to be motivated just to get organized to do that. And so you
Right.
have pretty much reached that point. And so what you see in a lot of business owners is that, you see that business that just really never does much else. It's just there. It's making the business owner, a slow millionaire, basically. They do their work, but they don't really have any more drive to do much else, or they'd never develop processes and they work for their business for 20 years. They become a slave to their business. I'm assuming that's not what you want to do.
Right.
Yeah. You could see that though, I'm sure. Could you see how you
Hmm.
could be a slave to your business?
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Okay, so developing processes and staying organized. So how do I stay organized? I mean, I'm recording this podcast right now with you on a Monday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I had to do some coursework. Developing a new course. I had to write articles for the week. I had to answer emails. I had to extinguish a few fires at my men's health clinic over the phone. Like, how do I stay organized to do all this? It's difficult. I think that the number one thing that you need to do with this is that to prioritize things in your business like this. Is it an income generating activity or is it busy bullshit work? And so if it's an income generating activity, you prioritize it based off of the potential income it can generate. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I prioritize tasks in my business. And so, we own practices. So, I mean, you have to have a few other priorities like, am I being compliant with regulations and patient safety and those sorts of things? I'm assuming you're taking care of that. Those things should always be a priority because if those things go to the wayside, you're going to close down, right?
Right.
But outside of that, just in general business, it should be income generating activities, prioritizing that. So for me in my men's health clinic, I'm always going to prioritize patient care, seeing patients, right, which generate income, and marketing activities. I'm always going to prioritize those two things over everything else. And so if I get some call from some rep who wants to try to sell me something, that's not a priority to me. I'll oftentimes just delete the email. I'm like, I don't have time for it. I'm not going to make it a priority, right? So with that said, you sound like you know what you need to do to get your business to the next level. Are you prioritizing stuff based off of the income potential? No. Okay. That is how you're going to scale and grow this business. It's the only way because you can't be everything for everyone anymore. You can't. It's impossible. If you want to grow your business, if you want to stay exactly where you're at, then fine. But that's the only way. And so for my men's health clinic, I don't do anything else anymore but see patients and market. Those are my two priorities. I built the systems when I opened up my second location, and I built those systems based off of, the income potential, regulatory compliance, and patient safe. Everything else I really don't care about. I don't care about how you clock in the morning. I don't care about that. It doesn't really matter. Just clock in. You know what I mean? How to access the payment processor, stupid little systems like that. That's busy bullshit work. That's what your office manager could do for you. So you as the business owner, the entrepreneur, though, that's what I want you to focus on. So with that said, top of your mind right now, number one income generating activity that you could prioritize right now?
That would be seeing more patients.
Seeing more patients. Okay. But you told me that you wanted to develop more passive income streams.
Yes.
Okay. With that said, what could you make a priority to make that happen? Would it be hiring someone else to see patients for you?
One of the things that I've been working on is, look, we were talking about like my online wellness programs. We're doing like a group wellness program or group weight loss. I think that I would be able to, that's a little bit more hands off, but be able to see more patients in that quantity if I actually like focused on launching that program. It's almost set, but I haven't finished it out because of all the other little stupid things I'm doing probably that I don't need to be doing.
Right. The non-priorities. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So you want to continue seeing patients. You really don't want to stop seeing patients or even decrease your patient load?
Well, I would like to decrease my patient load. Yes.
Okay. Two things then. So this online wellness group care kind of thing that you want to do. So you'd be seeing groups of patients in like a structured online program and they would be paying you on a monthly basis?
Yes.
So walk me through this. Give me just a general breakdown. Like, how does this work?
So right now I have a program. It's called the Metabolic Makeover, and it's a 10-week program. And patients log into the portal, also offering like a that has all the information in it that they need. I ship them all their products and vitamins and supplements and a little handbook and a guide. And then once a week we do a Zoom call, and you can log in or watch the recording either way. And
is that Zoom call like a group call or per patient?
It's a group call.
Group call. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And
that's
that
basically it. Yeah.
That's basically
so the program's already built.
So this is basically patient care, but in a group setting.
Yes. So it wouldn't matter if there was like one patient or 20 patients or 50 patients essentially enrolled.
Correct. Right. But I'm assuming you want more. Yeah.
Yes. The more.
So you're right. So instead of seeing 1 or 2 patients an hour, technically you could be seeing 20 patients an hour. So you've just, you multiplied your income by a significant factor.
Right.
So that's your goal. Right.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you would still be getting a monthly charge, but yet you would only be really having to deal with actual patient care and talking with them just during those calls.
Yes. Essentially once a week. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And so what has prevented you from doing this, getting this started? Because it sounds like it could be a pretty big moneymaker.
Yes. So my biggest hesitation, I've already run about 7 or 8 patients through the program individually. I think going to the group program, I have a couple friends that do the group programs and seem to be very successful, but they do a ton of social media advertising. And for me, it's like, how am I going to get these patients there without doing social media? Because I am not a fan of social media. Don't like doing Facebook Lives or Instagram Lives or any of those things. And I see that that is what is successful with my friends that are running their group programs. So that has been a huge hesitation for me, is that that's the way that they do it. So that's probably the way I should do it. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe I should do it a different way for the marketing aspect. Marketing isn't obviously my forte.
Right.
So I think
Well,
that's my hesitation, is that this is the way I've seen them do it. So I feel like I should do it that way, but I don't want to do it that way. So I'm just stopped.
it sounds like the priority here should be either, how are you going to do this off of social media, or how am I going to learn how to do it on social media, since that's what everyone else is doing. I mean, you don't have to reinvent the wheel here. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess what's your biggest hang up with using with using social media to do this?
I think maybe criticism, or, people write negative comments on social media and all that kind of
Ne-
stuff. I'm not like a huge, I don't know. I just don't like it.
Never read the comments. Just don't read them. What you don't know ain't gonna hurt you.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I found you, is on social media, probably one of your ads or something like that.
Right.
I love that. So,
What shit's talked about me, I don't really care. They don't bother me. I just don't read it. I just delete the comment. I don't care. Like I'm glad that you just spent 20 minutes of your life writing a page about how you don't like what I'm doing. Delete. I didn't even read it. Whatever. You just completely wasted your time.
yeah. How do you get that attitude?
You just have to. Like, you just have to grow a thick skin for that, because how is this one person's thought on this screen that lives God knows where, who could be just some loser in their mom's basement? Like, why do you care what they think of you? Only losers take their time to write negative comments like that. Only negative losers do that. Like, so who cares what they think of you? I mean, people who do that have nothing better going on in their life. Why do I care what's going on with your life? I don't care. If that's one hang up, you got to, you're gonna have to just get over that. You're gonna have to just don't even read it. Just delete the comment, or don't even read the comments.
That's what my husband said too.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't let that get to you. Don't let what naysayers could say to you prevent you from doing what you want to do. That's insane.
Yeah. So that is one of my big
Okay.
hang-ups, is the social media. I'm like, oh, I just don't want to do it.
Sure. Okay.
Like,
So
oh,
then, okay.
I was gonna say, it's,
Start,
one of my friends is like, oh, you should just do a Facebook Live and just do it and get it done with. I'm like, oh, I hate it. Gives me so much anxiety. But
well, I mean, if this is going to be a private paid thing, I mean, it could be just over a Zoom call that you have a link on your main website from,
yeah,
it's just getting traffic to that main website. So, I mean, you don't really have to even deal with social media other than just using it to advertise people to go to your website. You would just use social media as a marketing funnel to funnel people to your website. And then once they're on your website and they sign up for it, great.
right.
Are you wanting to do this just like in state, or is this more of like a coaching nationwide thing?
I think that there's no prescriptions involved. And so it would be able to go nationwide. I think
Yeah.
we would have to look at the laws on, what happens with my nurse practitioner license, and,
Well,
where is the line drawn if you're just doing
it's a
like a
fine,
wellness program.
yeah, it's a fine line, a very fine line. Like, you can't make diagnoses. I mean, you can't
Right.
diagnose anyone with anything. You can't order labs. You can't order meds. It's a very fine line. As long as you're just providing recommendations and not
Right.
telling people what to do, or, just don't use your license and you're fine.
Right. There's just no
Yeah.
plan. So it would technically be able to go nationwide, I believe.
Sure. I don't see a problem with that at all, whatsoever. Have you took the coaching course? I'm just curious.
No, I have not.
No. Okay. Yeah. The coaching course, I think you might find valuable, because I mean, it pretty much walk you through how to set this up. But anyways, though, so I don't see a problem with that nationwide. But the problem being with nationwide, though, is that it can be difficult to find your target demographic and your target market, because there's 350 million people in this country. So I guess another priority for you would be, is who are you going to target? Who's going to see your ads? I mean, it can't just be women between the ages of 35 and 45. That's going to just blast that out to way too many people.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know that. And that's why I think that social media is probably really important, because if you have that consistent message, then those people that resonate with that message would be following you more.
100%.
So
Absolutely.
instead of just using like Google, like Facebook ads that
Yes.
don't know that person's personality. So I do see the value of getting your following so that it resonates with those specific people.
Yeah.
Mine would
Yeah.
obviously be women that, don't feel great and trying to lose weight and can't, and really just trying to like balance their hormones naturally with food and, lose some weight in the process, essentially.
Yeah. But that's basically, you just describe what the patient's looking for, but who is that person?
Yeah.
who is, how old are they? What's their income? What do they like? What kind of interests do they have? I mean, you got to get really, really specific.
Right.
And so I think you need to sit down. I think that's a priority because that's ultimately an income generating activity. Because if you can determine who your target market is, now you know how to tailor your marketing efforts. And marketing is an income generating activity in itself. So that is something that you should prioritize as a business owner. Because if you understand that, then it's just unlimited potential and growth opportunities. So that would be something that would grow your business and increase your income.
Yes.
So
I do feel like that's one of our big downfalls is, I mean, thank goodness that we've done so well without any marketing.
Wow.
But
whoa. So you're like, you're going to have $1 million practice and you haven't marketed at all?
No.
My Lord. Could you imagine what you could do with some marketing? See, this is what you should prioritize.
Yes.
Yeah, this is an income generating activity. This should be a priority because what's going to make more patients walk through that door and call you? Marketing.
That's the only thing marketing is going to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly what it's going to do. I mean, word of mouth and stuff. I mean, no, don't get me wrong, are powerful marketing strategies. And that's obviously how you've grown to where you're at now, right?
Right. It's all through the referrals. I mean, we have a website, we post on social media, but we don't do ads or anything like that.
Do you have any idea what percentage of your patients are coming from, just organically landing on, your Google business listing and your website versus word of mouth?
10%.
Only 10%. That's it.
Yeah.
So the other 90% is word of mouth and just referrals. Okay. So, typically in businesses, and this is going to be different in every market, every service line, industry, it's different. But what I have found with these niche practices is that it's usually about a 50-50 split. And so, 50% of it usually comes from about word of mouth and, plus or minus 10% kind of a thing here. But about 50% of it should come from word of mouth. The other 50% should be coming from your marketing efforts. And so if you have 90% of your patients from word of mouth alone, imagine what you would do if you actually integrated a solid marketing plan into your practice. You would basically increase your volume by 40-50%. To me, that sounds like the priority.
Yes, that does sound like a priority.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Income generating activities, income per activity. Okay. That's how you prioritize the tasks in your business as a business owner. Yeah. It's not generating income. It's waste time. All right. I hope everyone's enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick break to thank everyone listening and also give a big thank you to all of my social media followers and email subscribers. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our email list at www.elitenp.com and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Email subscribers will receive updates on new weekly podcast episodes, multiple weekly articles we publish, new courses, and everything else related to helping you succeed. Remember, all Elite Nurse Practitioner courses are designed to help you build a niche practice, increase your financial strength, and to break free from the rat race. If I can break free and then other countless nurse practitioners can break free, then so can you. Additionally, please share this podcast with your other nurse practitioner sisters and brothers out there. The more NPs that venture out on their own, the stronger our profession will become. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Right now, I see patients on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I don't see patients on Tuesday. I try to spend my Tuesdays working on the business. Is that how most people do it? Like, are they doing like an hour every day on their business and seeing their patients the rest of the time? Or I have a hard time switching back and forth mentally in between things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there needs to be like blocks of time and specific days, or is it one day a month, or what's kind of the flow that the people use or that you use to get to that?
Yeah, it can be difficult. Everyone's different, obviously, and each business is different. Like how I prioritize tasks with the lead NP, my medical campus clinic, my men's health clinic are different. But overall, I feel like that it's best to just cut off some time either on a separate day outside of the clinic so you're not being distracted. Because I think it all comes down to distractions here.
Yes.
And so when you say you're working on your business on Tuesdays, are you actually at your practice or are you at home?
I am actually at my practice.
Okay. Yeah.
And
No.
that is a huge part, is that not every 5 seconds, but maybe every 30 minutes, I'll get a question, or, the girls will have a question about this patient, or what about this, and, little things. So you're constantly getting that interruption.
Yeah. And that's going to completely break your focus and take you out of the zone.
Yeah.
When I'm creating a course or writing an article or something, I shut my email off. I put my phone on silent. I shut my door, and I'm at my home office. So, those distractions are going to do nothing but negatively impact the working on your business aspect. So if I was you, what I would start doing is I wouldn't go to your practice on Tuesdays. I would do that at home in your home office, or go to the library. Just get somewhere that's quiet and free from distractions. You got to.
Okay.
When I'm at my men's health clinic, I can't get much done. I only go there to see patients. That's the only time I'm there. That's it.
Okay.
Like, a lot of my staff don't even know me. I mean, I kind of feel like that's how it should be as a business owner, though. You know what I mean? They should know the office manager more than the owner.
Right.
And so, I don't even know some of my medical assistants. Like, I don't know. I know nothing about their life, nor do I care. That's not my priority. So I get most of my work done on my business at home in my home office, not at my practice. Keep that in mind.
Okay.
I think that if you get into a quiet place, I think it'll really help you work on the business, help you prioritize stuff. So you have any other questions about how to prioritize stuff with, that principle of income per activity? Is it income generating work, or is it busy work?
No, I think that was a good point. Like, what is the potential for this income, and what I should be working on?
Yeah. Here's just a little quick equation that you can do. So figure out how many hours you're working per week in your practice. If you got a piece of paper out or something like that, let's do this just real quick.
Okay.
If you do. Okay. How many hours per week are you actually working in and on your business? And estimates are fine here.
I'm here basically like 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
And then when you leave, are you done?
I'm done. I have 3 children at home, 1 on the way. I am done. I don't pick up a phone or a laptop or anything when I'm home.
Okay, good. So you've learned how to balance this.
Yes.
Okay, good. So we're going to just say 40 hours a week then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So 40 hours a week. First off, so you have those hours. Then how much money do you make in a week average? This is
how much we bring in, or how much do I pay myself?
Like how much do you actually make? How much you pay yourself, and then whatever's left over. Just a very, very rough number on a weekly basis.
I should probably know that. Ask me by the month. Okay, let's see. Let's say we bring in $60,000 for the month. I'll take home $5,000 to $8,000.
$5,000 to $8,000, and then by the end of the year, do you take?
It's almost 10% of what we bring out. Yeah.
So I guess let's break this down a little bit more. Okay, so last year, how much did you net? How much did you actually make?
It was 120.
120. So let's just divide that. So let's just say 10,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
So 10,000 divided by 4 is $2,500. So let's just say you're making $2,500 a week. Is how much you're making. Okay. All right. So 2,500 divided by 40 hours is $62 per hour. The average nurse practitioner salary, pretty much.
Yeah.
Now, out of those 40 hours, how much of that time is spent on income generating work, and how much of that time is spent on busy work that is just a waste of your time? And you probably have no clue, but what would you estimate? Income generating activities, remember, seeing patients, working on your business, marketing, basically. Those are really the income generating activities in your business. What would you estimate?
So right now, I would say probably at least 10 to 15 hours of just busy work.
Of just crap. So if you use that number then of 25 hours per week of actually income generating activity, you just gave yourself almost a $40 raise. Now you're at $100 an hour. So we need to figure out, how do you do more of that kind of work? Because you're worth $100 an hour when you're actually doing income generating work in your business. That busy work, those 10 to 15 hours a week, you don't need to be doing that. Someone else needs to be doing that. You need to prioritize here. And so if you could prioritize your tasks in your business here, you're looking at giving yourself almost an $80,000 a year raise if you continue to work 40 hours a week by simply just prioritizing tasks and focusing only on income generating work. You can maintain your standard of living now and just work a lot less. So it's up to you.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
So I hope you're following that. But yeah. So I think that's what you need to do.
Need to prioritize and delegate.
Correct.
I think that is a huge problem, being kind of a control freak. It's like, oh, just be faster if I do it myself instead of explaining it. But it comes back to bite you later on.
Yeah,
you know,
it does. It does. But that's how you develop the system and the process, right? So like, these people who want to buy policies and procedures manuals, I honestly just kind of laugh. Like each procedure in your business is going to be unique to your business.
Yeah.
And so you need to start developing systems in your business here. Like, how do you do this and that? So let's just give me an example. What's something that you would rather just do yourself because you just don't want to teach someone else how to do it, or you don't think they're going to do it right? Surely to God, there's something on the top of your mind right now. You're just like, I hate doing this. I want someone else to do it, but no one else is going to do it as good as me.
Gosh, I don't know that there's anything that I hate. I will say right now in our aesthetics program, we're redoing our aftercare for the patients, like aftercare instructions to give to them. And all that is like design work. And I haven't liked some of the designs or, things like that. I'm like, okay, let me just do it myself. But I really don't need to be spending my time making designs with anything,
Aftercare instructions. You're spending this much time on aftercare instructions.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I know.
Is that an income generating activity?
No.
The patient's already paid you, right?
Yes.
It can be on a Word document, black and white, and you can put your logo at the top and you can hand it to them, or it could be graphically designed and look beautiful. I'll tell you, those patients they're not going to give two shits.
I know.
So income generating activities, ask yourself this: is this going to generate income? If it's not, forget it. It's not important. If you do that, I promise you will see your income grow and you will work less.
I've never asked myself that question before.
Ask yourself that question before every task in your business. Is this going to generate income, or is this busy work? Hey, if you want to do busy work, that's totally up to you. And you said you wanted to try to scale your business so it develops more passive income streams, right? Well, by doing these, by focusing on asking yourself that question, the passive income stream will then develop and it'll come, right? Because if you can get this wellness program up and running, now you have a passive income stream, right? You were focusing on this income generating activity, right? If you develop systems in your business on how to do this and that, so you don't have to do it anymore, these other people are doing it for you now. And now, in a way, it's kind of more of a passive income stream now. They're doing it. You don't have to worry about it, right?
Right.
Developing those systems, it's just putting it on paper or making a video of you doing it and giving it to the person you want to do it. This is how I do it. And this is how I want you to do it. It's that simple.
That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah. Any thoughts there?
No, that's fantastic. You just need to hear that sometime,
Sure. No, I get it. I can't believe you've gotten to where you've gotten without marketing. That's just insane to me. Wow. Good for you.
Thank you. We'll touch base next year, and then I'll let you know how the marketing goes.
Yeah, you'll come back and be like, that was a waste of money. Thanks, Justin. No, that shouldn't happen. You should definitely see a return on your investment there. All right. So do you have any other questions about, prioritizing your tasks here, staying motivated, or developing the passive income stream?
I mean, I think that's the main thing, is that the takeaway is this going to generate income or not? If not, don't do it.
Right. If you're money motivated, the motivation will come. Like, I'm money motivated. I want to earn more income. By God, I'm going to make this a priority.
Right.
And you also want to touch a little bit on developing some relationships with successful individuals. So what did you mean by that?
I think, I really just wanted to, and I see a lot of it in our like Facebook page. People ask questions, other people write back, and that's really helpful. I think just as a business owner, you kind of get stuck in your own world and don't have people to ask questions to. So I think it's just good to have other relationships out there with other providers that are kind of on the same level and just help each other out. So having outlets like, the Elite NP Facebook page and other professional organizations. I don't know. I just wanted to know more information about that. Are there other groups or,
It can be difficult, being at the top.
I was going to say like competition. You try to, I know that some people, especially in aesthetics, there's a big like, oh, we're not going to help them. They're our competition, and really try to avoid that, like have community over competition. But I know it's hard.
Right. I get that. What I was saying, being at the top is kind of a lonely place. It is. It's lonely being at the top. It's lonely being the business owner, It's different making relationships with your coworkers and whatnot compared to when you were just, an esthetician. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So you have to find like-minded individuals, and it can be difficult. I think a lot of it is just, I mean, nowadays online, there's so many groups out there, business owner groups and masterminds and these sorts of things. I think a lot of it just comes down to, messaging the right people. So like, let's say, for example, you're on the Elite MP Facebook group and you're chatting with people and something someone says just really resonates with you. Shooting them a message and just talking with them, you would be amazed. I've developed some very interesting and lucrative relationships just from the Facebook group alone of very like-minded individuals. I know a lot of other nurse practitioners that own men's health clinics, and we text each other and message each other all the time. And that wouldn't have happened if I just wouldn't have shot the message, or they would have, or if they wouldn't have messaged me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah,
you have to almost
just
actively,
yeah,
correct. Yeah, you have to actively try. I mean, you really do. Just sitting back and waiting for it, I mean, that's never going to happen. Like, you really, really have to actively try. If you want to be more involved locally, Chamber of Commerce meetings, there's a lot of important people that go to those as well. And then going to more, conferences in your area, or setting up a booth somewhere, those kinds of things you can develop relationships with. And what about your patients too? I mean, you want a cash practice, niche services. I'm assuming you probably have some high rollers come in, yeah? Have you developed any relationships with these people?
I mean, I really try to keep it super professional. Like, I don't see patients out, or,
Well,
I
it
can't
might be.
say I've ever called any of my patients for anything.
Yeah. I guess it could be, I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe a men's health clinic's a little different, but like, I'm sitting here talking to these guys during the initial visit, whatever, asking them how,
Yeah.
what they make for a living, or not what they make for a living, but what they do for a living and those sorts of things. And
Yeah.
I've kind of just developed some relationships with some very powerful business owners in my area, just from them being a patient, you know what I mean? By just talking to them.
Yeah.
So
we do have relationships. I mean, we get a ton of referrals from our patients, mostly like word of mouth. I will say that's a big thing, is that I have several patients that say, they don't want to write a Google review because they don't want people to know that they come here, So it's interesting on the, kind of like the aesthetic side, that when people kind of have that perspective of like, oh, I want to look this way naturally, and like nobody's going to know that I come here, or nobody's going to know I'm on testosterone or peptides or whatever to lose weight and look this good.
I could see that. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's just developing some relationships with some people. There's some masterminds out there too, but you got to pay for it and whatnot. But I mean, you can develop some powerful relationships from that as well. But I think maybe just reaching out to people on the Facebook group first and just making an effort out of it, I think will help. And I think that, once we release this podcast, you never know. Some people might reach out to you. You never know.
I'll get friends. No, I'm just kidding. I have friends. We're friends,
Right. No, I get it. Listen, this has been fantastic so far. I think there's a lot of good stuff out here. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about?
I think that's it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hey, listen, I'd like to end the episodes with you asking me a question. Do you have any questions that you would have liked to, or have wanted to ask me? It could be anything you want.
Anything. What would be your next kind of venture after this last one, which was like the tax prep or whatever? What's coming up the pipe?
Oh, you mean the tax course? We recorded this at the end of March. This won't be released for probably a couple months. We just got our accreditation to offer CEUs as an organization. Yeah, I mean, all our courses haven't offered CEU. I mean, they don't need to. I mean, they're valuable in their own, But if I could attach CEU to them, it would just give much more value to all the Elite NP students. And so that's what I wanted to do. And so we got the provisional accreditation to offer CEU. So the sky's the limit at this point. I'm really thinking about creating a Elite NP clinical course line. So instead of courses that just talk about, the clinical aspects of a particular niche service and the business components, I'm thinking about having more, maybe some standard clinical kind of courses, like diabetes, or, some sort of skin thing, or hypertension management, just something, something you can get your pharmacology hours for, license renewals and those sorts of things at an affordable price. That's kind of what I'm thinking, but I want to take away from my, my mission of helping people start businesses and niche services and stuff too. So I got a lot of things to juggle, but
interesting.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts about that? I mean,
I think that as long as it's, like hypertension, things like that, as long as it's super relevant to your niche market that you already have, like the cash pay patients, I feel like helping us kind of manage those things. Because sometimes people, like they don't have insurance, and then we need to get this medicine and they can't afford it, and it's a whole ordeal. So I think a course on how do you manage these things, and then, either direct primary care or cheap way, or, what's the most effective way? How do you do this? Because that was a huge transition, is going from insurance to going to no insurance, and then how are we managing these prescriptions, and what are they paying for?
Right.
All that stuff.
Right.
It's a
Right.
huge, I
Yeah.
think that's a huge shock for providers, going from no insurance to, or insurance to no insurance.
It's usually a good shock, but yeah. Well, yeah, thank you for that. It's definitely something to consider. And I'm gonna have to really make a conscious effort to think about that too, because I want to make sure I'm still providing valuable stuff for for everyone. So yeah, so thank you for that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
well, cool. Hey, listen, I really appreciate talking to you. I think people will really enjoy this episode. So thanks a lot, Erin. And 6 to 12 months from now, if you want to talk again, my email.
Yeah, we'll do an update on my marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, hey, listen, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, bye. I hope everyone enjoyed the conversation with Erin. She has developed a pretty successful anti-aging clinic offering HRT, aesthetics, peptides, those sorts of things. She has developed a pretty successful practice in just 3 to 4 years. There's no question in my mind that she'll have $1 million practice within the next year or two. No question about it. And it's absolutely amazing she's done this without marketing. But the big thing here that you need to walk away with is that you need to learn how to prioritize the tasks in your business. It can be difficult, especially in the startup phase. You have to do all that busy stuff. You got to start the LLCs. You got to get the EIN numbers. You need to make sure you have your MPI license, your DEA license, your electronic medical record, all of these working parts. That's a lot of busy work. But once that's done, it's done. Then you need to prioritize tasks in your business if you want it to grow and you want it to succeed. And just simply ask yourself that question. Is this going to generate income or is it not? If it is not an income generating activity, it is usually a waste of your time, okay? From the business standpoint, right? From the business viewpoint, it is generally a waste of time. Now, as a nurse practitioner, you obviously have to worry about regulatory compliance, patient safety, and those sorts of items, okay? So you obviously want to make those a priority. But from the business standpoint of it, income generating activities, okay? Is this going to generate income in my business? If it is not, it is generally a waste of your time and it is busy work. The goal of a business is to develop a high income while working less. If you want to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week, all right, you can just pick up shifts for $75 an hour somewhere and make a pretty healthy income. But the goal here is to generate income while working less. And the way you do this is by asking yourself that question. Is this income generating or not? And if it's not, delegate the work to someone else or put it on the sideline, as it is not that important. All right. Hope everyone enjoyed this episode. You guys take care. Thanks. Bye. Thank you for listening to the show. Quick legal disclaimer. The content of this podcast is meant for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be used as legal, financial, medical, regulatory, or practice-specific advice. For information pertaining to your specific legal, financial, medical, or practice-specific needs, please be sure to consult with your lawyer, CPA, medical director, and/or your state's practice laws and the most up-to-date clinical guidelines. As always, do your due diligence when it comes to any information found online and in podcasts. The content in this podcast is copyrighted by Galaxy Medical Southwest 2022 and cannot be duplicated, rebroadcasted, or reproduced without our written permission.